Good morning, guys. Welcome to my Monday morning rant for Monday, the 14th of June, 2021. Last week was pretty eventful. I started with Monday. What was Monday again? Oh, that's right. So last Monday night, I got a FaceTime call from Jazz. She's a good friend of mine, fellow photographer, and she figured that I would probably be the only person around that was drinking on a Monday night. She was pretty drunk, and I had no booze. So literally, while we were on the call, I brought up Jimmy Brings in a browser window, and very quickly got some booze and caught up with her, and it was fun. Um, It's interesting actually. She's been offered a she does a job where it's got nothing to do with her creativity at all, and I think she likes to keep it separate like that. And that's totally cool. Like I think for me personally, I love to try to um make my job quite related to stuff that I'm into. Um, I feel like it both makes it easier, and it's also harder as well. Like when you have to make compromises for money, especially if I'm an artist, so it's like when you're doing arty stuff for money, and then they start to fuck it over, corporatize the fucking shit out of it. Then next thing you know, you're hating it. But the bigger picture, I still prefer to be making money off doing something that I love doing. Well, Jazz prefers to keep it separate, and she's been offered a raise and um, um, a new position. And it's funny because I caught up with Carmen, another old friend of mine, as well, and she's in exactly the same place. Carmen, the difference is Carmen is like probably the hardest working person that I know, and she's always managed to get to really top positions in wherever she's landed, and where she is now, she's been offered like a much bigger salary and much more responsibility, and both of these guys were in the same position of not being so sure whether they should take it or not. And yeah, I it just reminds me of a documentary that I saw last week. I think it was. I might have watched it the week before, and it was about a guy who has worked for Disney for a very substantial amount of years, and he started out as a an artist drawing, for cell animation, which is pretty hardcore. Like the way they used to do it before computers, and just having to draw every single frame by hand. And his story was that over the years, just got to a point where he just kept getting promoted to higher and higher positions, and in the end, he wasn't even drawing anymore, and he wasn't even creative anymore. He was just in charge of people, and the amount of stress was ridiculous. And he'd forgotten why he got into it all in the first place. And yeah, I think that's a good lesson for anyone who is in a position where they kind of like what they do, and they get so good at it that someone from higher up wants to promote you into a position that, yeah, sure, it might pay you more, but you really might not like it, and you might forget your roots. What's also interesting about this um, Disney guy is that a couple of things in that documentary that I picked up on. One was that he ended up leaving Disney to chase his original dream when he was younger, which was to create his own guitars, bass guitars specifically. And he ended up doing that, and he ended up quitting Disney, which was a huge, scary thing for him to do. And anyway, he got to a point much further down the line where he was so successful and was getting way too many orders, and he had to move out of his house because his neighbors were complaining about the noise, and he ended up getting a workshop and investing so much into this thing and just not making hardly any money at all in comparison to what he was making at Disney. But he was happier, and he got to a point where he just had so much work on that he really could have done with some help. But the guy is super stubborn, and he just refuses to let anyone help him and hire any staff. And he is legitimately creating these guitars by hand, all on his own, from the very start to the very end. And he's just delivering every single one. Um, yeah, and his customers are happy to wait because it's all made by him. There's no automation as such, and there's no staff to help him out. It's all him. And the way he spoke about that was fascinating because he calls it the grind, and obviously the grind is something that you just have to work through, and it's something that you have to learn to love and to expect and to live with. And he was saying with when he was at Disney that they would come up with a new concept for a Disney movie, and everyone would be so pumped at the beginning of the job, and everyone would be so into the jokes. The jokes were so fucking funny. And then he would go on to say that halfway through these movies, it was always the same. It was always a huge lull. Everyone just had no energy. Doubt started to creep in. People didn't find the jokes funny anymore. And everyone was just thinking this is going to be the biggest flop ever. And then, you work through that, and then you launch, and and it all, just, it's all rosy. So, I think there's a really good lesson in that. It's like so many times when I've started stuff, it's just it is more automatic. When you're starting something, you're just so into it, so obsessive compulsive about it. But of course, there's always a point where there's doubt, and that you want to hit the eject button. And I think with his guitar shop, it's a lot like he knows that if he gets out of the position of making these guitars by hand, and he sits there, he does the sanding, and the sanding is a killer job. Like sanding to create to shape a guitar neck is just so much work. And there was video footage of him doing it, and it just into the night kind of stuff. And then when you've got like 20-30 guitars on order, and you're having to think about turning all those blocks of wood into these beautiful machines, these beautiful tools, it's like I know that must be so full on. But again, he just embraces the grind, and I think that's a really good lesson to learn. So Catch Us With Jazz was good. And with Carmen, we actually went to an Italian restaurant in Haberfield called La Disfida. I've never been before. I think I might have, but I just don't remember. It might have been so long ago. But homemade pasta, homemade gnocchi, and I just, anywhere where there's homemade pasta, you just know it's the real deal. And it was amazing. And we ordered, she insisted that we ordered a pizza as well, and we just ordered a margarita, and it was literally the closest pizza that I've had to the margarita that I had in Italy. It was like kind of soft and floppy, thin base, and just so simple. Less is more. It was so good. So I will no doubt be back. And it's funny. Like, I'm really lazy with getting out of the house, but hey, if it's for a mate, I was in the car and like trying to get there at 6:30. I was in so much fucking traffic, and I just forgot that that's out there. Hey, like I'm never sitting in traffic on purpose, but man, like Sydney is just like, it just doesn't change. COVID or not, it's just it's a fucking mess out there. It's a jungle. It's crazy. It was actually enjoyable being caught in traffic. Also, last week I got a free acoustic guitar, which is super trippy. Like, I was on Facebook Marketplace, and I saw a left-handed guitar acoustic for free. And I'm like, fuck, since when is a guitar for free for starters? And then since when do you find a left-handed guitar for free? And then turns out that she was in the next beach. You know, she was at Bronte, a couple of beaches away from my place. Just a stone throw, pretty much. So that was like trippy. I just messaged her, and turns out it was available, free to a good home. And she said, if you can come first thing in the morning, it's yours. So headed over there first thing in the morning. I was greeted by a yummy mummy with a newborn baby, and just a really nice Epiphone lefty. And she even apologized for how dusty it was. I'm like, oh my God, you can't be apologizing. It's free, you know? So I gave it a bit of TLC. Strings are rusted as fuck. So I did order some new strings. I've got them. I just haven't replaced them. But it's a nice little guitar. It's just nice. I don't know. It just spun me out. I just didn't think that there were people who would bother. Like, she could have just thrown it out on the footpath and someone would have taken it. But for her to bother to take photos of it, put it up, and give it away for free, she could easily have made $50 from it, or even 100, you know. And I don't know. It's not like one of those faith in humanity restored things. It's not quite that epic, but it's still pretty epic. And it's still pretty cool. Also, yesterday I had the first of many photo shoots to come. Where I think it was about a week ago now that I put up an ad on my socials to say that I am going to be shooting for free this month, in sort of an attempt to generate more content for my Patreon and my patrons on Patreon. And it's been so successful, and like it's a little bit annoying that so many people have come out of the woodwork because they want a free photo shoot. But at the same time, it's kind of how it works, right? It's how you plant a seed anyway. That's good business. You know, you end up shooting with someone who knows there might be a good connection, and who knows, I might shoot with them again in future. And that's when the paid shoots start. So, yeah, I kind of had forgotten that's how I probably started shooting the girls who pay me. I started probably shooting them for free in the first place anyway. And yeah, I've had so many people from all walks of life, different ages, different backgrounds, and it's really cool. I have not said no to anyone. I have said absolutely yes to everyone who's reached out. And there's people that I haven't gotten back to. I've literally just sent them a message to say I will get back to you with more details, and to try to organize some dates, because there's that many people, there's that many girls that have reached out. And I started yesterday with the first of many shoots to come. It was a Korean girl she's 23, very young. She's literally half my age. She's from Melbourne. She just started escorting 2 months ago. She loves her job. She's loving it. And my God, it just reminds me of Viv all over again. It's like when I first met Viv, you know, this girl still has a CV job. She's thinking of quitting it because she doesn't see the point in holding on to her day job, considering she makes so much more with, you know, escorting, like $700 an hour with escorting, right? So, you know, she's done it properly. She's gone and done it all through legal channels, and she set herself up for it. So it's a shame she's in Melbourne, because, you know, she definitely could be a girl that I would be shooting once a month for content. But hey, if she's ever in Sydney again, I'm sure we'll shoot. And if I'm ever in Melbourne, I'm sure we'll shoot. But it was nice to shoot with her, because she's not really shot before, and I got to direct a lot. And you know, sometimes I don't direct so much. Sometimes I do with her. I kind of was in the mood too, so I directed a fair bit, and I think some of the shots we got were really, really cool. So yeah, I'm gonna hop off, because I literally don't think I can afford to be slow like I have been and editing photos over a week or two. I think I need to get back in the zone. Like I was talking about earlier on in this little Monday morning rant, I think the grind is essential. The sitting there and editing the photos is part of the job. It is a huge part of it, and I need to embrace it. Um, so yeah, I'm actually I feel like my headspace is a little bit shifted now, and I think I'm actually looking forward to editing these shots that I took yesterday. So I'm gonna hop off. I've got a busy week. I hope everybody else has an awesome week and productive week as well. I shall catch you guys in the next one. See yous.